thank you all for joining us here today for our first ever stay-at-home live show. And we're very excited to talk with you about all things Tuff Shed live virtually. We're going to answer all your questions, give you a little walkthrough of our showroom, and just try to help you get set up with a great Tuff Shed building. So the safety of our customers, employees, and installers is always one of our highest priorities, and we want to let you know that we're still here for you even during the current climate, but we're here virtually. So give your local Tuff Shed team a call, or you can even get online to our website and schedule an online virtual consultation. Your local rep will chat with you there, answer any questions you have, and help walk you through a Tuff Shed building design. And that's what we've been doing for the past 39 years. We've been designing and installing Tuff Shed buildings to solve those essential needs in our customers' backyards. And our buildings have even been used in a lot of crisis situations as well, whether that's a natural disaster, shelters for those experiencing homeless, or even now during the public health crisis. So if you or your company have an essential need that a Tuff Shed building can help with, we want to hear from you. So please do reach out to our teams and we'll see what we can do to help. So today, at the Stay at Home Live Show, we are joined by two of our VPs. We have Steve Stessman, who is the leader of our retail sales team, and we have Phil Worth, who leads our marketing department. They are very excited to walk you through, answer your questions, tell you a little bit about their favorite things about Tuff Shed. I will be here fielding your questions, so make sure you send those in, share the video, and they will take it from here.
Thanks, Nikki. So typically this time of year, as many of you know, it's home show season, and so we would have an opportunity to speak with tens of thousands of you and help you solve your, whatever your storage issues. But in the spirit of safety, we discontinued all of our home shows for the season. So we were thinking, okay, how are we still going to serve our customers? Because we're not going to do our home shows. All my employees are working from home and remote. Our stores are closed. So, but how do we serve those customers with essential needs? And so, the marketing team led by Phil came up with this idea, like let's do a virtual home show, which is pretty exciting for us. And then we also have a bunch of ways that you can still interact with us. Phil, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Steve. So this is our first Facebook Live event and our first virtual home show. We're really excited about that. Tuff Shed's a company that embraces technology. You see that in our design, how we go to market, what kind of tools that we put in front of the customer. And if you haven't gone online and configured a building, you should check it out at tuffshed.com. You can configure a building, any one of our shed models or garage model, you can configure right there. You can save a quote. You can even transact online. And then we've just added, as Nikki alluded to, we've just added a new form that you can request a virtual tour from, or a virtual consult from one of Steve's sales and design consultants. So let's get started on this virtual home show. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about some of the features and benefits of these buildings. We're going to plant some seeds of ideas of uses of these buildings. And we're going to tell you another couple of stories of how we're impacting the community and how we're staying safe in these troubling times. So if you'll go over to the building that Steve's in front of, you'll see some of the things that make us unique, like our galvanized steel floor joists. Right, that's a unique trait to ours. Those things are rated for 40 years, so they'll last longer than you'll probably be in your house. Steve's pulling on the door handle right now. We've got unique and patented door handles and hardware, and a one-of-a-kind Tuff Shed door. Steve, why don't you tell them about the Pro Ranch there?
Sure. So this is one of our most versatile buildings because of the height. So I can really do a lot of things with this, and you can really customize this to whatever your needs are. Phil touched on the door. That's a standard with every Tuff Shed at every price level. The cool thing about our buildings is it's fairly simple to understand. It's all about height. So it goes taller building to shorter, and we'll kind of walk through that today. If we take a look at the eave, for example, maybe Matt, you can grab a shot of that. That's just like your house. So it's one of those things where you're able to really, really put something in the backyard that you're going to be proud of. But again, once you come into this building, let's talk a little bit about what some possible uses are. So this one is set up as a workshop, probably a hobby shop. Or for me, I just want to have a place where I can charge my cordless drill. This last week, we sold a building with a very similar configuration to a guy named George, sold by Mark out of Riverside, California. And so George has a shoe repair business, but he's shut down, but he still needs to feed his family. So the story we got was he leaves the shoes on the front door, he works on them, takes them to the back, works on them in his shop, leaves them on the front, and that way everything's still safe. But again, he can still feed his family, and we were honored to be part of sort of continuing his small business. The thing about a Tough Shed, our Pro Series, is this is ready to go. So the way the corners are done, even I, as a kind of a sales guy, I probably could go ahead and drywall this myself, because we've done everything to set it up so that it's able to meet any of your needs. You know, a lot of people now are working from home, obviously, and one of the best examples we have is a home office that we have set up here. Phil, why don't you walk everyone through that?
Sure, this is a pro studio. I love this building. It's packed with features. It screams home office, right? It has a ton of light, a lot of transom windows come standard with them. The full light door comes standard with this building. And this particular display, we've actually done what Steve was just talking about. We finished it out on the inside. We don't normally do that, but we wanted to show customers what was possible. So a place to relax. I think Nikki and Steve collaborated on the decorations on this one. I think Nikki may have won out with the she shed, the relaxing part, but if you'll scan to the left, you'll see Kayla there working, right? So she's hard at work, and so many of our customers, especially these days, are working from home. I don't think there's ever been a time where more people worked from home than right now, and this is a great building to do it in. Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. You know, when we did this, I looked at that and I'm like, I can finish that, because we're going to give you the framework that's going to allow any do-it-yourselfer to do it. And I'll let you all in on a little secret. I designed the inside. I picked out all the stuff. So Nikki didn't win out. I did. She actually wanted a woodworking shop. So anyhow, the thing about Tough Shed is choice. So that's not a very big building, but we can make it bigger. Paint colors with 30 standard colors, shingles to match. We can come very, very close to matching what your home looks like. And if we can't, we'll work with you to make sure that it matches. A lot of HOAs have very strict guidelines, and we're always happy to help you work through those. You know, we talked about the configurator. This is what you'll see on toughshed.com. You can go on there, play around, move, see what your stuff looks like on the inside of it. But again, it's about choice. And during these kind of times, everybody has a little bit different essential needs. So we can design anything for you. You just have to get with us and we'll help you out. We have Phil. He's going to show you our Premier building, our Premier Series building. Take it away, Phil.
Thanks, Steve. So we've gone from the Pro buildings, which is our best series of buildings. Now we're going to stay in the Ranch family, but we're going to go to our Premier Series buildings. This is our original flagship series. Steve was talking before about choice. What you see here is a building with a double door, right? So you have a 6-foot wide double door. That's an option. So you can upgrade to any kind of door. This particular door also has transom windows in it, and it also has a decorative door trim. So we make it possible for customers to get any kind of door opening, whether it be a residential door, a roll-up door, or our famous Tough Shed door. So here you have the double door, and it's got more of the great hardware that Steve and I talked about before. You look at the space. This is great if you have a lawn tractor, or if you need to get more stuff inside of a building. This particular display has a lot of shelving, and it really shows how well that we can accommodate needs. You know, people are storing more stuff at home right now. They're moving stuff out of the spare bedroom so they can move a family member that might be home from college, or grandma home from into the spare bedroom. And so shelving and overhead loft, if you had a barn, are some of the best ways to maximize one of our buildings. We make it easy to do. Just think about the amount amount of canned goods or toilet paper you could store on these things. And these shelves are not built like a typical shelf that you might think of as an afterthought. These are super rock solid. They wouldn't crumble under my weight, which my wife tells me I need to do something about. But this is Tough Shed quality, and you can even see these on the online configurator. You can see inside the building while you're configuring your shed. So check out the inside of the building while you're in the configurator. So I'm going to throw it over to Steve on one of our unique buildings called a Weekender, and it's even got a front porch. And Steve's going to talk about a little bit more about at-home living or even recreational living. Steve, take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. Clearly, I should have been the one to sit on the shelf. I think I weigh a couple of stones more than you. Come on in. So this is a building that we designed because we do cabin shells, additional dwelling units, because I think a lot of people, certainly in these times, are faced with, they want to keep their parents safe and they want to put them in the backyard, but definitely not in a tent. So we could do something like this. A building like this, as you walk through, it didn't have a Tough Shed door on it. It has a standard residential door, and we'll show you that on the way out. But the other thing that we do is we're going to put together a shell that's going to be able to last for decades. And so, but with in mind that the do-it-yourselfer can do it yourself. So we have house wrap, for example. All we're going to do is ask you a question. Are you going to insulate this? Yes or no? And if it's yes, then we're going to get a house wrap, just like your home's built. This one, we did this with 2x6 construction because, very frankly, if I'm going to be drilling holes, I need a bigger target. So that way I can run electrical through that, maybe some plumbing, and then drywall over the top of it. But again, these all come in every shape and size that you can dream up or what works out for you. We recently did this exact same building, but maybe 6 feet longer, out of our Chicago market for a hospital for a COVID-19 testing station. And we're pretty honored to be able to be part of a project and have a Tough Shed help people out and hopefully save some lives. I'm going to throw it back over to Phil, which we'll show you our garden series.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm standing inside a garden ranch, and I know some of you might be thinking, I don't have that much room in my backyard. I need a smaller building to store my household goods. We've got answers for you there, too. This is a small garden ranch. It's our entry price point line of buildings. It still carries the one-of-a-kind Tough Shed door. You see that I'm a 6 foot tall person. This is a 5'10" opening. If you're tall or taller like Steve, you probably want to go with a little taller building. But if you're not 6 foot tall, this is a perfect size building and a perfect size door. And maybe you only need a smaller building, and maybe your budget is a lot more important than the height of your building or finishing out the inside. But still great stuff, a great building that we're proud to put our name on. You don't see any building that without one of these serial tags, because we're so proud of these buildings. Every building that we sell and prefab and install in people's yards, we're proud enough to put the Tough Shed name on it. So I want to take us from the smallest to the biggest, and that is, we're going to look at one of our Premier Pro Ranch garages, believe it or not.
Hey, Phil. Long time no see.
How are you? We've both been in this one.
I'd shake your hand, bud.
I know. It's not
Stand outside of the table.
Social
Right?
distancing.
So, this is obviously a good-sized building, and we can do just about any size. This is probably this would easily be one of the smaller garages we could do. The thing is you may not think about us for garages or bigger structures, but we can pretty much build anything out of wood. We have on-site, working from home, engineering team and drafters. So everything you're done is to code. These are plans developed by our teams. So make sure that we build you a structure that is going to last forever. And then uses. We can do a lot of things. You want a taller building, we'll make you a taller building. You want 2 garage doors, we'll do pretty much whatever it takes to satisfy your need. And these are very unusual times, but the reality is that we're here to help you. Phil, I know we have a cool story. Maybe you can tell us about something we had to do yesterday.
That's right. So yesterday, Children's Hospital here in Denver, Colorado, we built and we installed a building for them. It's a garage. It's not too much bigger than this. It's a little deeper, and it's got a garage door on both ends. So they're going to use it for drive-through testing for first responders and other medical practitioners, and so that they can keep those folks out of the hospital, but still test them and keep them safe and healthy. One of the unique things, besides the use of that building, was these people called us at we talked first at like 3 o'clock on Tuesday, and we turned that building from concept to completion in 24 hours. Now, I can't promise you that on every garage. Usually they take a little bit longer. Usually we're not installing them in a parking lot like we did yesterday. We've got to install a garage on a foundation. So that takes a little bit of time, but we know how to act quickly. We know how to get people in line with our sales and design consultants. We know how to get folks in through our engineering department and take care of their needs. And so if you have a medical organization that we can help with in an emergency type of way, we want to hear from you. You will go to the very top of our install list. We want to be able to help. It was an emotional moment when some of the facilities people and even some of the doctors were coming out and watching that Tough Shed garage as the final touch-up paint and final nails and shingles were going on that building, and we handed them the keys to that building within 24 hours of concept. And so they said, Phil, I don't know that you know what you did here. What you did from Tough Shed, you saved people's lives, and we are really proud of the buildings that we build. I don't know if we give them that much importance, but boy, when we see and hear stories like that, it humbles us, and we're honored to be part of the community. So I think it's time, Steve, that we wrap up and go up front. Why don't you talk about installation and what happens with that?
Yeah, and just like Phil said, look, if you need a home office, or you need a place to put your mom and dad, or to put some food storage, or to clean out that spare bedroom, we're here to help you. We're working with all the cities and the counties and states with daily calls trying to figure out where we can actually solve your storage issue. But after installation, what will happen is, to be safe, you don't have to come talk to any of us. We'll do a virtual meeting with you. But you'll be able to see us. We'll design with you, and then we'll transact completely online. But then also when we come out to install, the installers, you won't have to talk to them. We'll ask you to tell them where to put it or maybe stake it out. But the reality is, you don't have to talk to them. You can maybe give them a friendly wave. That would be fine. But then all the other paperwork and stuff like that, we'll do electronically. Again, safety and solving really the things that are most important right now to get us through this really tough period. But yeah, I think maybe we have some questions. Let's go back up front and see what the audience is asking for.
Hey, Steve, while we make our way up front, and we were just talking about installation, I saw a garage installed in one day, and that might be unique, right? But it's not unique for our sheds, right? Isn't it? Like aren't people amazed at how quickly we get in and out of the backyard?
Yeah, our typical installation somewhere between 4 and 6 hours. And again, since you're on the virtual home show, if you do, hop on toughshed.com, throw a quote in, and then when salesperson talks to you, just tell them I was on the virtual home show. We'll make sure you get the best price possible, and based on the story, ahead of the line pass kind of a thing. So we're here to help. That's all right. We also have our lending partner has authorized us to give 6 months same as cash. So we're trying to make it easier to get into a Tough Shed building, and so that includes how you're transacting. So we're here for you, and we'd love to hear from some questions right about now. Nikki, what do you have for us?
All right, so we have several questions. Vu would like to know what size the Premier Ranch is.
The Premier Ranch
It's an 8x12.
8x12, perfect. Okay, and Dorothy would like to know what the turnaround time from order placement to delivery install is right now, if there's any delays with the current situation.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, there can be some delays. However, I have buildings that we sold this morning that we'll install tomorrow. So it all depends on the local. We're always going to follow the rules because that's who we are. But so really put your quote in is the best way to do it, and we'll get you an answer. And then obviously, look, if you've got an emergency situation, we're going to solve it for you. Great question.
Perfect. So if they want to order paint color chips, what's the best way to do that?
We can do that online. You could also still contact your sales and design consultants. They can get those out to you. We also have an order form online through our paint partner. So we use, just like with everything else, we use high quality paints. And Glidden is a supplier of our paint, and so we have a way to order those online. You can also pick up those colors in the Home Depot. Home Depot stores are still open, and you can pick up almost all, I think maybe save 4 colors. You can pick up a paint chip in the Home Depot store, but you can also order those things online.
We've also had a lot of questions about door height and customizing that on a building. What are the best ways to do that? What are the parameters around that, especially for like a tall barn or a garage?
Yeah, so I'll take the first part and I'll throw it to Steve. So a tall barn, most people are putting doors, we see it mostly on an end wall. So that's the side that has the peak that you see the whole roof, the whole shape of the roof, right? And so on our tall barns, you can fit a taller door on that wall. And so on a Premier tall barn and a Pro tall barn, that comes with a 6'7" tall door on those buildings. If you were to put that on a sidewall on a Premier barn, you'd have to go down to a 6'2" door. So some of the answer is it depends on the model and it depends on where you put it. But we can also go to residential doors, we can do double doors, we can even do overhead doors. If we had to, we've been known to do all sorts of custom things, and if we had to get into a tight space, we can even do that. But we really want to keep people in most customers really love that 4-foot wide single door, a pair of 3-foot wide double doors, or a pair of 4-foot wide double doors. Steve, what did I miss?
I'm exhausted. That's more detail than I can imagine. So here's the thing, is go to toughshed.com, just fill the quote, and we can show you all the sort of standard sizes, and then if you get with one of my salespeople and you have a specific need, we'll fix it. We'll help you work through it. But to Phil's point, there is a lot of variables, but we spell those out in our configurator, and you can build it on your, in the comfort of your home. What else you got, Nikki?
We have a lot of questions about accessory dwelling units or ADUs. People want to know how they finish out the inside, and also, do we work with homeowners associations? How do we get through that?
Sure. Okay. How do we finish it out inside? The great thing is we don't. You do. So, now, I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but that's my nature. Sorry. What we're going to do is we're going to give you that shell.
It's true.
Yeah. We're going to give you this shell that's ready to go. So, if you think about the office where Kayla was working in, that's beadboard on the walls. That's some no groove siding on the roof. Like, this is all stuff you can get from Home Depot. If you're going to insulate it, you just tell us that as you order. We'll have it ready to go, and then you get to roll some insulation over the weekend. Will we work with HOAs? All the time. We don't talk directly with the HOAs typically, but we're happy to help you work through whatever rules they have, and we have dealt with every rule that we've seen so far, and we have yet to be foiled on that one.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Steve. So that building that's behind Steve is a lap siding. So need lap siding to pass your HOA? Check. Need a roof pitch upgrade to pass your HOA? Check. Need metal roof to pass your HOA? Check. Need vinyl siding to pass your HOA? We can find that too. So as Steve said, we can customize just about anything. If you can dream it, we can build it.
Right.
Perfect. So another question, can we build on a skid?
You mean like to be
Sure.
moved? Yeah,
Yeah.
we can build on skids. So normally our buildings, you'll see like that is built on galvanized steel. If we were to make that a display, and if you were in one of our locations or at a Home Depot locations, you might see that with several 2x6s underneath. That's just so they can be picked up with a forklift and moved or eventually sold off as displays. But we have done that in the past. We would typically build on pressure treated wood because it moves better, and so we just need to know that when we order. So just like Steve was saying with insulation, those are things that we really need to know when you're making your purchase, so we can design it the right way, and we would reinforce that floor so you could move it around, whether you're pulling it with a tractor or whatever.
What else, Nikki?
What's the main difference between a Premier and a Premier Pro?
Great question. Well, I'll take part of it. So you see, again, because it's right behind him, that I'll even point to it. The eaves, Steve was talking about this. This is a 6-inch eave all the way around the entire building. Looks like your house, right? And also, this is a 512 roof pitch, meaning it's steeper. If this were a Premier Series building, you would have a 4-inch eave just on the sidewall, but not on the end wall, and you'd have a little shallower roof pitch, a 412. So in that respect, it's the aesthetic. But also, there's a 10-year warranty on this building, and then there's a 7-year warranty on materials and workmanship on the Premier Series building. Steve, what did I miss?
I think you got it. I think you nailed most of it for sure.
I didn't catch the shingles, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lifetime warranty on the shingles on a Pro Series. And they're dimensional shingles, so they look different. They probably, if you have shingles on your home, they look very similar to what your home has. That's probably the high points. What else you got, Nikki?
How about leveling foundations? How do you get the ground level underneath the building?
That's a great question, and you should know the answer to that, Nikki, because you and Matt Seawick, our content folks, did a recording that's posted out on YouTube, and we'll post that. What's the easiest way to go find that?
YouTube page.
Just to go to our Tough Shed YouTube page and search for leveling, and there's a great kind of how to find somebody else to do it. How can you check if your foundation is level in the first place, and how you can make some even minor steps to make sure that the foundation is as level as possible. We don't level foundations because we're not landscapers. We're not going to be digging into the dirt. We aren't the ones that are pouring concrete. But if we come to your backyard and you're only maybe 4 inches out of level, then we can level that up with concrete blocks and wood shims. It's a really good idea to have it as level as possible to begin with. And I know with these days, more people are at home, have a little bit extra time. That's a great thing to do yourself. You'll like the appearance of the building a little bit better because the foundation will be more flush with the backyard and whatever that surface is. So check out the YouTube page. If you still have questions, call us and we can talk about maybe some other suggestions of how to determine level and what are some great ways to get there.
So then we also have a specific question about county permitting. They're noting that their county says before having a shed, a permit must be applied for. What would Tough Shed do, or what would they have to do in that situation?
So it depends. So we'll help you obtain the permit. You know, we can give you some information. Depends on the size of the building. If it's engineered plans, and there's a fee for that, but we'll put you into the process. Again, it's going to depend sort of almost by location, but typically we're there to help you. We'll either walk you through it or we'll do it for you, kind of depending upon where you live. What else, Nikki?
Perfect. So we also have a question about wind speeds. How do the buildings stand up in certain areas where winds are higher?
That's a great question, and that can also vary by market, right? So the good news is we start with that in mind, right? Mm-hmm. So the shingle, the dimensional shingles, I think are 150 mile per hour, and the 3-tab shingles are 120 miles an hour. We can reinforce the roof with things like what are called hurricane clips and ties. So basically, they tie the the roofing truss or the rafter to the top plate, so to the walls, and they're already nailed in place on all of our buildings, but it might add additional hardware, additional metal hardware, a tie that ties the roof with metal to the wall. So those are a couple of things. There's also snow load that gets impacted in some of our areas. Say we're out in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and we have high snow loads, and there are other things that you can do, even increase the roof pitch, put a metal roof on, things like that. So we start with that in mind, and what Steve was talking about engineering too. And
so we're going to build buildings that meet the minimum, or typically are always going to exceed what's recommended by the local municipalities. If you go to toughshed.com, for example, and you do a quote, you put your zip code in, and if you're lucky enough to live in Florida by the beach, but maybe you have that a hurricane once in a while, we're going to pull up a building that's designed specifically for your area. So we'll take a lot of the guesswork out of it for you, because that's what our configurator can do. What else, Nick?
Another very specific Tough Shed question. What is it that puts our buildings ahead of competitors?
Boy, there's not just one thing, is there? There's so many things. We talked about the building features, and we could go down the rabbit hole on building features. I call it getting geeked out on our buildings. So let's just assume that we've got the best door in the business. Let's assume that we're unique and that customers can really customize the buildings however they want it. Let's assume that we have the best selection, that you can take any of the buildings that we saw today and stretch them or shrink them to different sizes. Also, we install all of our buildings. We talked about installation. We have an amazing set of warranties. On the Garden Series, a 5-year warranty. On the Premier Series, a 7-year warranty. And on the Pro Series, a 10-year warranty. And those aren't just pieces of paper. We live and breathe by those things. There's no tricks. We honor those warranties, and if there's an issue with the materials or there's an issue in our workmanship, then we're going to honor those warranties. And so there's not just one thing, Nikki. There's so many things. And I would like to say, Steve, I'm thinking it's the people in the end that make us the most unique. It's not just the buildings, it's the people who stand behind them, starting all the way up top with our founder, Tom Surrey, who founded Tough Shed 39 years ago on a dream of building the best buildings out there, all the way to our National Support Center here in Denver, Colorado, to the people at our local factories who are manufacturing buildings for folks, who are selling and designing the buildings for customers, and then finally our teams of installers all over the country who are putting these buildings safely and soundly into customers' backyard. So it's not just one thing.
Nailed it. So then we have a question about financing. How can you finance a shed?
Well, go to toughshed.com, and you can. There's a link there that allow you to apply for financing. It's a very simple. We offer two different. We do a traditional financing where you can stretch your payment over up to 48 months. We have some 6 months financing that Phil alluded to, and we also do a rent-to-own kind of flex lease program. So, if your choice is go rent a storage unit or go apply that money towards a building that you can have with all the choice you want, I'll let you make that financial decision, but when you buy a Tough Shed, you're going to have it for decades. Go ahead, back to you, Nikki. Any other questions?
Perfect. We do have a fun one. What is the strangest request you've ever gotten for a customer for a Tough Shed building?
Ones that we can talk about? Yeah, that's
Niederland has to be.
Yeah, that's true. So here in Colorado, so one of the festivals, the strange festivals that they have is called the Frozen Dead Guy Days, and that's up in Nederland, Colorado, which is nearby Boulder, where Mork and Mindy was filmed all those years ago. But the people in Nederland wanted to take Strange to a whole new level. And so one of the residents there believed in animation and reanimating the ability to reanimate people. So when his grandfather died in Europe, he brought his remains over here, and he has a Tough Shed building, and Grandpa is frozen inside the Tough Shed building, and so there's a whole festival around it, Frozen Dead Guy Days, and so we like to say, a million uses, and that's one of them, and there are so many more. We could go on and on and on that topic.
For sure.
Perfect. That about covers us for questions. I think we answered them all. If we have any other ones, I'll be online and I can answer them for everyone.
All right, great. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's been a fun time, and I know maybe I even enjoyed hanging out with Steve. I don't know if he can say the same, but
We're getting too close to it. I need 6 feet. Thanks everybody for joining. Stay safe
I have
and.
a question about the stay-at-home shed special.
Oh sure.
Oh, question about the
One more
stay-at-home
question.
shed special. Okay, so it's our home show special plus, and so what that is, it's a tiered discount. The more you buy, the more you save. You can save up to $300 on a shed, and then if you buy a garage, depending on how much you buy, you can save up to $1,000 on that building. And on top of that, we've got the financing offer that Steve was talking about before. And so we'll our financing partner has made it able to for us to extend a 6-month same as cash offer there. So so make sure when you're talking to your salesperson that you mention the stay-at-home show special and that you want that special deal.
Thank you everyone.